everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Crafty Saucer. My name is Denise Pereira, and I'm your host of Crafty Saucer and the founder of Collider Source. On this podcast, we talk about tax strategy and tools. Now, I do know that I've been missing in action for the past few months, and I have very good reasons for that, but I had to come back and record this episode. There's a few reasons why. I have someone very, very special. When Mike Santoro says a tool is a game changer, you sit up, you take notice, and you get cracking onto it. We have Rajat Paharia, who's the founder of Ask Steve, and I'm going to get Rajat to introduce himself. So let's get into it and let's get crafty. Rajat, thanks so much for being a guest today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Now, Rajat, I know you were with Mike Santoro. You all presented on Sosu AI. I watched the recordings. Phenomenal. I'm so glad that you actually reached out to me after that as well. And we got into a call and we decided this had to be a podcast episode.
Yeah. What would you like to know? What should I tell you right now, Denise?
Well, before we get into our chat and demo, there is going to be a demo. We want to know what's your story, Rajat, and what prompted you to create Ask Steve.
Yeah, so I've been working on Ask Steve for a little over a year. And prior to that, I was working at Google. I was a product management lead there. I joined Google in 2016. I worked there till 2024, so 8 years. And in my time there, I started on the Nest team working on consumer electronics devices. It was super fun. It was amazing to be able to build something and then go buy it off the shelf in a store. And then I worked on the Maps team for a while, working on maps for real world game developers. So like Pokemon Go style games. And then the augmented reality team. So I was working on a lot of cutting edge tech. It was pretty cool. So smartphone, augmented reality, as well as smart glasses. And then in my final role there, I thought, let me try something completely different. And I went to the internal HR technology team. So this is effectively the team building all the tech for Google's 180,000 employees. So recruiting, performance management, learning and development, compensation, all those systems my team owned. And so that was a very different experience. It was effectively like enterprise software with one customer, like the HR function at Google. And while I was there is when ChatGPT exploded. And I was looking at all this stuff and kind of going this is amazing. Google had our own, we had at the time it was called Bard, but internal equivalent. And I wanted to integrate that stuff into a bunch of the portfolio that I own. Why are recruiters sending out generic messages because it takes too long to write a personalized one when an LLM with one click could look at rec, look at resume and craft something personal? And then why are managers having to collect all these peer reviews of every one of the reports and manually summarize them? That's what an LLM could do. Why are support people that are handling employee support questions having to write these full blown emails when they can just write out bullets and just have it turned into a nice email? And so I wanted to do all that, but I couldn't for two primary reasons. One was I didn't own the software. It was like Salesforce or Workday or some other system that I couldn't put any code into. And the second was I just didn't have the engineers. I had a giant team of engineers, but they were all allocated for the entire year and I couldn't pull them off to do this stuff. So when I left Google, I was like, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to build something that you can integrate AI into at the browser level so it can work on any web app, whether it's Salesforce or Workday or LinkedIn. And I'm going to make it all no code. So you don't need a single engineer in order to do it. And so that's what I've been doing. And that's what Ask Steve is.
That's amazing. I mean, the fact that, you were at Google, when you're at Google, right, there's no hiding from that in terms of what you've done and what you can do over there. What I find fascinating with what you've just said, Rajat, is that nowadays in this day and age, we are getting so many tech vendors coming up with new flashy tools, right? And one thing I will say in the TA community is we get a little riled up by that, oh my God, you're not even from TA and you're going out and building all this stuff without actually talking to TA people. But with your tool, what I've seen is, and having used it, and Mike Santoro's used it, is that this is for anyone and everyone that wants to make their life easier. And I know in this day and age, we are so spoiled for choice, right? And we are toggling between 10 different tools to do that one thing. And what I love about your tool is that, like you said, there's no coding required, no app switching. It's all within one Chrome extension. It's phenomenal. And I tested it out in terms of, from a sourcing perspective. And I think everybody needs to have this as a Chrome extension. provided your employer allows you to do that. But it's also perfect for working smarter, faster, easier. It's all about, in this day and age, for us to be thinking about how can we make our lives simpler,
Yeah.
but also effective, right? So
Yeah. Absolutely.
how has it evolved since its inception,
Yeah.
Rajat?
It's changed a tremendous amount, actually. Like I often liken this to like you startups are like learning machines, and your whole job is and the only way to learn is to get out. Number one, get out of your head. Get out of like everything's great up here in Thoughtland. It's like I have these amazing
Mm-hmm.
ideas, and the
Mm-hmm.
market's going to love them, and I'm going to be a millionaire, and it's all good until you like get something out in the world, and then like the market just kind of like
Yeah,
goes right on by and just
yeah, yeah.
yawns at what you're doing, and then you're like, oh, okay, well now, but just that act of getting something out the door. I used to work at a company called IDEO, product design and innovation firm, and one of the things there was like never go to a meeting without a prototype. And the whole idea there is like a prototype is a tool to think with. It's something to react to, and that's what users need. And so I built the first version kind of according to like this dream I had had of what I wanted when I was at Google. And then over the last year and almost a half, it has evolved dramatically, and it's almost unrecognizable from like the release I put out, because every time I put something out, I learn something just in the act of building, in the act of seeing how users respond to it and what they're doing with it or their feedback to it. And so now at this point, like it's feeling it's funny. Like I had this feeling probably 6 months ago. Like it's feeling really good. I'm almost done. And like, who knows? Like tomorrow, somebody's going to say something, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, why didn't I think of that?" Right?
Yeah.
But I love, having left Google and a large organization where it felt like I had to convince 100 people anytime I wanted to do anything. I love like just honestly working by myself for the most part, and just like the pace. I think of an idea in the
Mhm.
morning, and like I implement it in the afternoon, and I'm testing it in the evening, and like that's how fast things are going, and it's
Yeah.
exhilarating.
And with the iterations that are constantly happening in the back end, is it more based on your idea that, oh, if I was a candidate, or if I was a headhunter, if I was a recruiter source or whatever, a salesperson, this is what I'd want to have as a tool? Or is it also a mix of, your customers providing that feedback and iterations happen on top of that after?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's both. It's some of it is just me thinking like it would be amazing if this tool could do X. I wonder if it can, and then trying, and sometimes I fail, and sometimes I succeed. Or others, like for instance, like Santoro the other day was like I have these one-click AI buttons in Ask Steve, so with one click you can do things, and that's great because it's like immediately accessible. No thinking, no friction, just like click the button and do it. But then, how do I ask a follow-up question? And there was no good way to do that in the ASCII UI. And I didn't want to rebuild like a whole chat interface in that or kind of response panel that was showing up on the webpage. So and I'd had for probably a year on my list, like figure out some way to like deal with this and let people ask follow up questions. And then Mike, and it stayed on the end of the list, but then Mike was like, "Hey, that would be the one thing that would like really make my life better." And so I'm like, okay, that's a good enough prod to
Yeah,
go do this, and then I did, and
yeah,
like that's live as of 2 days ago.
it's amazing. And folks, this is literally one click. Like, I kid you not, it is one click, right? And it is free to start. Am I right, Rajat? In terms of you, I think you get 30 days free, or is it free for life?
Yeah, so I when I started this, I had two maybe competing goals. We'll find out. One goal was like make something that as many people could get as much value out of as possible, because I was really kind of unhappy with the way that all the big companies were like shoving AI into their products in the
Hmm.
kind of very rigid ways that like they controlled. And so if I wanted to like add some AI to Salesforce or Workday, like I couldn't do it. I just had to live with what they gave me, and I wanted to put the power into the hands of the people. And so that was one goal. And so I made a super generous free plan. So basically, what happens is you download the extension for free, and because I wanted zero friction in you getting started, your first 100 queries go through my server. And so basically, like on my dime. So you can try it out and see if you like it. And then if you like the product, you create an account, and you get your own Gemini or Mistral API key, which is basically a developer password that lets one piece of software talk to another. And you can get those for free. You put that in, and then you can use Ask Steve free forever, most of the functionality. And you immediately get a 30-day free trial of Ask Steve Premium, which gives you access to everything for 30 days to try and see if you like it. And then if you like premium or find yourself using some premium features, then you can subscribe. But there's no need to. After 30 days, you'll just automatically go back to the normal plan, and then you can continue free forever.
And customers are going to get a 50% off their premium plan for the first 12 paid months. And we will put the code in at the end of this. But now what we're going to do is, Rajat, let's get into it and let's show the people what is Ask Steve.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll just run into a couple or run through a couple of examples that will be useful in the DA context. Okay, so seeing my screen, right, Denise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just run through a couple examples. So let's say you're doing some research on a prospect. And so here I've got a woman from NVIDIA, Carrie Brisky. She's a vice president of AI over there. And I just want to be like reading these articles about her, but it's a lot of articles, and I want to do this research quickly. I can now just click through. And what we see here on the right-hand side, this is the Ask Steve, we'll call it like the tool belt. And this is my one-click AI tools. And so the very first one, these are the ones that come out of the box. You do nothing, these appear. The first one is summarize, and I click on this, and it will automatically take the web page, whatever I'm looking at, and give me a 5 bullet point summary of that web page. Or if there's just a particular piece of that web page I want summarized, I can just highlight that and click that, and it will just summarize that piece. And so these buttons work that way on every web page. They either take whatever's selected or the entire page. So I can click on this article, do the same thing. And so now very quickly, I can just rip through and like get what I need to learn about this particular candidate. And if we want to look at how this, I call these tools, if I want to look at how this tool is built, I can open up the Ask Steve side panel by clicking on the purple lightning bolt tab, go to tools, and then this is the tool, summarize this. And we can see here exactly how it's built in English. It basically is instructing the AI, here's some text I need some help with. And then this double brackets indicates take whatever information is selected on the page or the entire contents of the page and just put them in here and replace this with that. And then, so you're sending all that, and then summarize this in 5 bullets or less, don't exceed 250 words, and give me the results in Markdown. And it's so easy to change these. I can say, give me results in Spanish. And then when I run it now, it's going to give me my results in Spanish. And then I save it, and then that's what my button does. And so in this case, if I'm doing research on a candidate, I can change my summarize button to be like, just give me the information about the candidate that's relevant and nothing else. And so you have this ability to create your own tools. I can click the new button and I can make a new tool, like give me the top 5 hashtags for this article. And that'll be my new tool. And then I can do that and say, and here's the text of the page. And that's it. And so now I'm going to run it, and it just generated 5 hashtags for me. It's like it's that simple. Create your own new tool.
You can add it as a button as well, if you want, right?
I click the add button checkbox, and I hit save, and now there's my give me the top 5 hashtags for this article. And then if I want to, I can go change the colors in the text. I can put an image there. I can even say I only want this button to appear on certain websites, which we'll see in a second with LinkedIn. So a lot of power, and it's, again, no code. It's all English, which is the super fun part of this. Okay, so LinkedIn. Let's say that we'll do a couple of different things with LinkedIn here. So the first will be, let me go to my profile page. And so let's say I'm looking at this person's profile page, and I'm like, I want to capture them into a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet. And I want to get as much of the data off of this page as possible. Or let's say I want to capture data from like a list on LinkedIn. So here's a list of all the attendees for SOSU. Or let's say I want to capture people off of like, here's the conference page, and I want to capture all these people. So I got like all these people that like, as I'm surfing the web and trying to find candidates, I just want to get all into like one central location, a Google Sheet or something. And so what I've done is I have this Google Sheet with 2 tabs in it. This first one basically has like pretty much almost everything you can grab plus more off of a LinkedIn profile. And this second one is just a more lighter weight because it's for grabbing off of like LinkedIn list pages and pages like this conference page. And so what I can now do, one of the things that Ask Steve is really good at, it can see the content of the page. And so it can extract that data and then put it into the right form to write into the sheet and give you one-click access to do so. So the way I can do this is, here, I'll go to this sheet first. I'm going to open up the Ask Steve side panel. I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to click on New. Now it's going to recognize that I'm on a Google Sheet and ask me if I want to auto-create an AI data extraction tool for this sheet. I'm going to say yes. And then it has built me an extract data into LinkedIn profiles, the name of this tab tool. So now if I go back to my profile here, I'm going to press this button. And what it's going to do is it's reading all my info off that page. It's putting it into all the right columns here. And then once it gets all that data, it's going to write it out into that Google Sheet that we just saw. And if I come back here, we can see, boom, there it is. It's all there. And if you can imagine, like if you had to do that by hand and we're copying and pasting all that stuff, that would take you forever. But now it's one click. And I can go to anybody's profile page and do that. Just pull that information into that sheet. Now for the list here, it's much less detail. And so I'll put it into my other list here, this tab that says just first name, last name, company, etc. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on New. I'm going to auto create a data extraction tool. Now I've got two of these with the Excel logo. I will go hide my other one, so it's not in the way right now. There we go. And I'm going to go back now to this LinkedIn list page, and I'm going to press my button. And now it's going to go through, and we're seeing it's grabbing everybody's information that matches those column headers, is extracting it all off the web page. And then once it's done extracting all that info and putting in the right format, it just added 10 people directly to my sheet with their LinkedIn URLs. And then here, I'll go to this speaker page for a conference. I'll pick some people. Here, let me pick this row, and I'll press the same button. And it's grabbing all of them and putting them into the spreadsheet. Now, what you notice here is there was no LinkedIn URL on this page, so it had nothing to grab. And this is the cool thing about Ask Steve is it's not like a completely opaque tool. We can go look and see what the prompt says. And so here we can see it's saying, I'm clicking on my tool, extract data into the From List tab. It says convert the provided text into new array, and these are the things I want: first name, last name, role, etc. And then if I can't get a property, here's some extra data, return it in this format. What I can also always do is just put in extra instructions here. So like I usually do it above step 2, and I can say for LinkedIn URL, if you can't find one on the page, construct a search link with the first name, last name, and company. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save. And now that tool is updated. So now if I go run this again with the same exact people, and we can see that it actually has filled in the LinkedIn URL here, and now I have a search link. So even if it can't find it on the LinkedIn page, it will generate a search link for me that I can get to that person in 2 clicks instead of 1 click. So that easy to create your own custom scrapers. You can also, Ask Steve can read the contents of a Google Sheet as well. And so you can have Ask Steve help you build queries. So out of the box, it comes with a certain number of tools, like 6 or 7, but you can always go to the library. And there in the library, I've got a library that I keep adding more to every time somebody comes up with a good new idea. And I can look here for, what do I have related to Sheets? I have a query builder. So I'm going to click on that one. I can see the details. I'm going to hit install, and this is going to help me build queries. And so then what I can do is I can highlight this first row to get just the headers, because that's all I need. And I can go to my query builder tool, and I can just run it right from here. I'm going to hit run, and it's going to say, what do I want the query to get? Get me all the people whose first name is Susan. Okay, and now it's going to build me a query, which I can copy with 1 click. And then if I go paste that into here, there we go. It got me all the people from this list. I had Susan in there twice, here and here. It got me all those people. And so it's that easy to like build a new query, and without having, like, I stink at Sheets formulas and Excel formulas. Like I'm so bad at this stuff. And so that's kind of a lifesaver whenever I'm trying to do anything even moderately complicated. All right, back to LinkedIn for a couple more things. So one is, let's go add a couple of new tools that are specifically for sourcing. So I'm going to get one that is, I don't have it in my library yet. I need to go to the library, which I'm already in. I'm going to look for it here, and I'm going to say there's one for qualify a candidate. So I'm going to click on that one and install it. And then there's one for a recruiting outreach message, and I'm going to install that one. So now if I go back to LinkedIn, I'm going to open up the side panel, go to my tools. I have these 2 new ones that I've added. Qualify a candidate. I'm going to add a button for that so that I can see it. It's that thumbs up button right there. And the outreach one, and I'm going to add a button for that one as well. And I've already configured these buttons. And so you can see they're using kind of the LinkedIn colors. And if we go look, these buttons are configured to only show on LinkedIn profile pages. So if I go to the home page, they're gone. If I go back to somebody's profile page, they appear. That's what that extra little outline means. It means that this button is only showing on this particular page. And now what these buttons do, let me go find somebody who's not me, who's a product manager. And the first one qualifies a candidate. So we'll just try it. I'm going to hit qualify a candidate. It's going to ask me to paste in a job rec. I'm not going to go grab one from this page for a Walmart product manager. I'm just going to copy the whole thing. And then, we got too many LinkedIn tabs open. Paste it here and say, okay. And what it's doing is it's looking at her profile and comparing it to that rec I just pasted in. And it's saying that she's got, for this particular job, she's good at like product management and has experience, but the gap is in last mile delivery, which is a key requirement. And it's given her a rating of 6. Now, this is a placeholder. By the way, like the qualification criteria is something that I just made up, but you should go in here and edit this tool. And I have a whole video about how to do that. And you can see exactly what it's doing. It's saying, grab the LinkedIn profile, paste in the rec. These 2 curly braces means ask the user to paste this in. And if I'm just recruiting for the same job, I could actually just paste the rec in right there and copy over that. And then I don't have to do it every time. And then we can see what it's trying to do. It's saying, you're trying to evaluate whether this candidate's good for the job, give them a score of 1 to 10. You can change that to any rating scale you want. Highlight these things if they're exceptional here, if they've never done here, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the kind of output I want. But you can, again, just English, change this to be like whatever you want, however you want, and try it on a couple of different profiles until the rating matches what you would give. And then you've got your kind of your customized qualification tool that you can use with 1 click. And then the second button here is the write a message. And so this one, same thing. It's going to read her resume. I'm going to paste in the job rec, and it's going to craft a personalized outreach message for her that knows like, hi, Ruchi, this is my name. The name is in the tool itself in the company, and you can change that. I noticed you've got this job. We have these mutual connections. That's all in the tool. It says like, mention our mutual connections and mention things that they've done. And then like, I'm hiring and your experience here would be good. And you can edit things here, like however you want. And then once you're ready, you copy it and you paste it into however you want to send it, and you're good to go. And you didn't have to spend all that time creating that custom outreach message. One last thing I'll show that I find helpful all the time is that like I'm often looking at content. I get a lot of like Ask Steve feedback, like, and it often comes in different languages, and I'm just like, I don't know what this means, and so I can just highlight anything, and then this button right here, the do something button, is where you can basically ask it to do anything. So I have that text highlighted, and I'm going to say just English, just give it to me in English, and there we go. Like now it just translated that text I had highlighted in English, and I didn't have to go any pasting, copying back and forth, etc. And then the one last one I'll show just for fun is the other kind of out of the box tool is this one where the chart this for me tool. So I can highlight any information, and like I can read this and understand it, but it's much easier to visualize. So I can say, chart this for me. It will ask me, what type of chart do I want? Do I have any other instructions? I'm just going to say, okay. And what it's going to do is it's going to turn all that information into the format for a service called Quick Chart, and it's going to generate the chart for me that I can then very quickly just take a look at and understand, oh, okay, this is smallest age group, this is biggest age group. And then kind of to the point that we made earlier, like I can continue this in chat. So I can press this button here and I can just copy that over into the chat. And then I can say, use the Google logo colors plus orange. I want to change the colors in the chart, and it will regenerate it for me with the Google logo colors plus orange. There we go. And then you can have a conversation. So you can get it to do exactly what you want. You know, I could say change it to a bar chart, right? Not a bar chart, a line chart. It's already a bar chart, and then it will do that. So you can get that first response, and then you can just iterate and iterate and iterate till you get what you want. So that's just a quick overview of like some of the kinds of things you can do with Ask Steve. But the basic premise is like AI help in the flow of work, like where you're actually doing your work. No more copying and pasting. You know, the analogy I often used to use was like, it's like AI is this amazing intern, but that intern is sitting across the room. And every time you want their help, you need to like copy your stuff off what you're doing, like walk it over to the intern, paste it on their screen, get their help, come back, do it. Like, no, you want the intern sitting right next to you, looking at your computer screen and able to just reach over on your keyboard and like type for you. And that's exactly what Ask Steve is. It's in the flow of work. It can see the context of what you're working on, which is the most important thing. And then it gives you these really powerful one-click AI tools that you can make with English. So you're not having to like prompt or learn prompting or any of that kind of stuff all the time. You just like press the button, get your thing, and get on with your day.
Wow, Rajat, that was fantastic. I've seen other parts that you've shared in So AI, and then just sort of seeing this. This is amazing because what you are doing is you are giving people the power back, like you mentioned. So with this tool and different categories, you can make it your own. You can use it. You can keep adding to prompts. You can remove stuff. This is all at the tip of your fingers with one click. There were a couple of notes that I was making while you were doing that, where you said that, like, let's say if you're going into unknown markets like Japan, and you want to start reaching out to candidates in Japanese, because not that I know Japanese, but it would help in terms of reaching out, right? So there's so many crucial things around this. So when it's taking out the info, is it all dependent on someone's profile on LinkedIn? So like you showed that lady from Google, is it all just reading the profile itself, or does it aggregate data from other sources that might be on Google Scholar as an example, or you can actually prompt it to say, also cite other sources from other places, or does it stick to one?
Right now, it's only what's on the page in front of you. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking at like other alternatives for like other ways of doing things, but right now it's very much focused on just that and not trying to go reach out to stuff in the background for
Yeah.
the most part.
It's still a very powerful tool. I like, there's no denying that. I'm really excited to bring this back into the Australian TA community as well. I had another question. So I know when you were highlighting speakers, so you have to, if you're outside of LinkedIn and you're doing so you have to highlight them to get that information, right?
No, I could just
No?
I
Okay.
could hit the button and it would grab everybody on this page. That would just take a while, so I don't do it. But
Okay.
and then the other thing to be aware of when you are using large quantities of data is that dive a little bit into like label LLM minutia for a second, which LLMs have probably two things that you should be concerned about. One is what they call the context window, which is the amount of input that you can give it. And then the other is the number of output tokens, which is the amount of output it can generate. And now a lot of the kind of last generation, when I say last generation, like a month ago models, can only put out like 8,000 tokens, which is equivalent to maybe, I don't know, 6,000 words. And so if you were trying to like, if I was trying to capture everybody on this page into an Excel spread or a Google spreadsheet, it might actually exceed that token limit, and which why we could try it. I mean, I could just hit the button and we'll see. And because it's generating like every one of these is like a token, every 3/4 of a word is a token effectively. So we might see this fail because it's exceeded the output limit, and this thing is going to get cut off because the LLM won't be able to finish this piece of code. But the newer LLMs have like up to 64, 66,000 output tokens. And so once this next generation becomes available for free, I will put that in and you'll be able to get a lot more output out of these things. Oh, wait, okay, so that actually did work. So it got everybody, it added 67 people to my thing,
Nice.
and
Wow.
there they are. Yeah.
I played with this on Monday, and I was doing some sourcing for one of our roles in India. And you're right, it took me less than 2 minutes to get all that information in a spreadsheet. And it was phenomenal because I was like, oh my God, this is a breeze. I don't have to copy paste. I don't have to go to 10 different places to get that one information. Like, you go in and out of your platform using this tool. And the good thing is, even with free, there's so much to do. There's so much to pick and choose from. Use it, remove it, whatever you need to do for whatever is in front of you, right? But the other thing I'll also say is, like, I've been playing around with the premium. Like, you are spoiled for choice in this one tool. And the fact that it happens with one click, I don't know if a lot of other tools are doing this at this point in time. Now, just one question before we sort of close off this. What sort of challenges have you observed in sort of integrating or automating this into existing hiring processes? And there's obviously system compatibility issues, but because it's a Chrome extension, any data privacy, user adoption issues?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, one is the issue that you have hit personally, which is your company does not allow Chrome extensions, right? Chrome extensions are like they're amazing. They are also kind of all powerful, which is scary for a lot of security teams, right? When you install a Chrome extension like Ask Steve, it's going to say this thing has access to like everything, and it needs access to everything to do all that, to have that deep level of integration into the browser. And so then you really have to trust the person making, or the company making, the Chrome extension. Um, so what I've done, a couple things. I've tried to make this as palatable as possible for both people and for companies. So on the company side, most Chrome extensions that do AI, their whole business model is we're going to sell you 100 credits a month, 1,000 credits, whatever, and you're going to burn down those credits as you're using it, and then you're going to top up, and we're going to make our money on that, like, our margin of like overcharging you for LLM calls effectively. But that means that everything goes through their servers because they are metering you, right? And I'm like, no company is going to allow all their corporate data to go through that some other company's server. And so the way I architected the system, and the reason I asked for you to put in your own API key, is exactly this versus me doing like making that all invisible and just doing it myself, is so that it's your computer talking directly to the large language model. And I don't have anything in the middle. I see nothing. I ripped out every little piece of tracking software that I even once had in there because I'm like, I don't like being tracked. I don't want to track anybody. I don't want to know anything. You use this thing and you're not, there's this phrase for this, the kind of the world we're in right now, surveillance capitalism, right? This is how people are making money, by tracking everything you're doing and advertising, whatever. It's like, I don't want to do any of that. So I have no tracking. Your stuff goes directly after you've used your 100 requests, free ones that do go through my server. After that, I see nothing, and you can use the product free forever. In terms of, the one thing that I think like Zendesk is afraid of, and that companies should be concerned about with most Chrome extensions, is, are they exfiltrating any data? Like, yes, it's running on my computer, but who's to say it's not sending all that information to, some other server like at other times? And in that case, like, most Chrome extensions, the code is actually like anybody can download it. It's all running on your computer, and we can analyze that. So if I'm working with a company, I like give them the code to say, if they want it, to say like, look, the SOC 2 compliance and whatever means nothing because I'm not storing any of your data. Like, I see nothing. But if you want to analyze the code of the extension to see, like, is it making any calls that it shouldn't be to remote servers, you're more than welcome to do so. Other than that, you just have to kind of count on reputation and, the fact that I'm a good guy, right?
Yeah, look, I'm definitely already a fan from what I've seen, from what you have shown, from what Mike has shown at Sosu AI about a month ago. What's next for us, Steve? What's in the pipeline that people should be excited about?
Yeah, so I showed the Google Sheets connection, and I've been building a whole bunch of connections. So at this point, there's like Google Sheets, Docs, Chat, Calendar. I'm currently, we'll see if this ever gets released, if I can get it done and Google approves it. But Gmail, which would be super cool. And then I also have services like Airtable and Slack and Notion. And then most recently, I built 4 CRM integrations: Salesforce, HubSpot, Apollo, and Pipedrive. So that's been like a really good new kind of area of exploration, which is like, how do I integrate into all these various systems so that salespeople can just be like finding prospects and bam, right to the CRM, or people using, house hunting. I was house hunting and I built an Airtable database. And I was just copying stuff from like every house listing site into that thing. But now like one click and bam, it's all in there. So that's one area. And then another area is kind of to your point earlier about like, can I do some lightweight, I've tried to avoid being like a browser automation tool, but can I do some lightweight automation to be able to say like, follow a couple of links, get the information from those so that people can get more information more.
Yeah. That's brilliant, Rajat. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing what Ask Steve is. I'm so excited for what's going to happen for you and the product moving forward. And look, if anything, this is a value add. This is not there to make us feel like, again, AI is going to replace us. This is there for us to do work hand in hand and make us more smarter and effective in our jobs, if anything. And look, I'm definitely a fan, Rajat. So congratulations on Steve. It's a wonderful tool, and I'm glad someone outside of TA has understood what our pain points are and really created a tool that's going to be effective for us. Once again, thank you so much for being on the show. And everybody, you will get a 50% code. I would highly, highly recommend going in, playing around with premium before you go for free. I'm normally the other way around. I'm like free first, then premium. But honestly, like you get so much bang for your buck in terms of what Rajat has to offer. Rajat, thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Denise. Really had fun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and stay crafty.